Jonathan McReynolds, thank you for joining us here on the premiere. It's good to have you with us. Now, of course, the last time we saw each other, last time we spoke to you was in the studios of CBN at Virginia Beach. And since then, you've probably done 1,001 interviews, so it'll probably be a blur in your mind. But if I can take you back to that moment before we talk about your new record, Peoples, since then, because at that point you were talking about the record that has Cycles and the rest on it. What has the last couple of years been like for Jonathan McReynolds?
It's been crazy. It's all definitely, I wouldn't say a blur, but it is, it's just been a lot. So sometimes it's tough to pinpoint each, interview or each show or each whatever, because it's just been so many. And honestly, for me, I would say the difference in these last 2 years, as opposed to the years before it, is personally, I've had a little more adversity. I've had a little more challenges. And just growing up. And I think the things that normally would happen to a guy, as he approaches 30 and turns 30, I've definitely not been immune to any of those things, even as I've been, ministering, as I've been releasing music and all that other good stuff. I would say that Make Room and that album really, took everything up a notch, and just all that happened, the show, the book, the tours, Sunday Best, all that has continued to put gas on the fire as far as his career goes. But in the midst of that, I've had to also just grow up, personally and deal with certain things personally, which has definitely been an interesting time.
Now, I'm sure many will want to ask, when you say grow up, what do you mean? But I won't go the moment. The last time we spoke, one of the books you said you were reading was The Art of War. And so I'm back to you 2 years later to say, generally they say The Art of War, there are sort of 9 themes. There's choosing your battle, timing being essential, knowing yourself, knowing your enemy, having a unique plan, disguising your plan, things like that. So I wondered, of those, when you read the book, what lesson gripped you and has stayed with you till now?
Well, I would say that when it comes to this particular time, and if you listen to this particular record, while there is plenty, going on, while there's plenty, talk to, a lot of talk about the enemy and the devil and all the other stuff and other people, I think it's very important that people understand that the true fight for me was knowing myself better. As a matter of fact, knowing yourself better actually defends against what others would actually say. It defends against a lot of attacks that would come directly for your heart, for your ego, for your identity, when you actually know it and can affirm it yourself. And so I think for me, I always talk about this particular vitamin that we have in the States. I don't know if you guys have it out there. It's called Airborne, and it's like a vitamin that
it sounds like
helps
a virus.
Your immune system and all the other stuff. Right. Well, you're right. But it sounds like Airborne. It sounds like it's pertaining to the things that come from externally. It sounds like it's dealing with the germs that are airborne. It sounds like it's dealing with what's going on outside of you and the external threats. But actually what it's doing is building up the immune system within you. And so it's been very important, even as I write a song like People, that refers to the outside, the external influences, the external impactors and external threats, but actually the song and the prayer that birthed the song, and hopefully the fruit that comes from the song as people begin to listen to it, is actually a deliverance that actually strengthens your own immune system. It doesn't change anything that's happening outside of you. It just strengthens you to be better equipped to deal with it.
So, People, your new record, it's hit such a chord with so many people around the world. But you talk about it coming from your own experiences, your own frustrations, etc. But I was intrigued to know, you have a master's in theology. How did that inform this record, and how did that inform this record, and how much different from your outlook from the other record?
I wouldn't say that it ever directly affects anything except just within me. I have a certain commitment to sound doctrine. I have a certain commitment in general. To when I come up with a line or I feel like one just drops into my lap, I have to make sure that it's right, make sure that it makes sense, make sure that, it won't lead somebody astray as far as, being, accurate in what they're saying or what I'm saying and what they're hearing. So when I write a song like Make a Cathedral Out of Me, that means a lot of different things. And it has a lot of touch points to just straight up doctrine. When you talk about understanding that God existed, in his presence on earth was kept and preserved in a few different spaces throughout the Bible. Sometimes it was, a tent, sometimes it was in the Holy of Holies, sometimes it was in the temple. And the fact that sometimes it's in the person of Jesus. But at this point in this dispensation of time, his desire is to actually live in our hearts. This is now the new temple. We are the new temple. And so, to learn to house that temple and to learn to now, and then, so that's the doctrine, that's the theology part. Then when you get to the actual idea of what a cathedral is culturally in our minds, when we think of cathedrals, we think of something big and beautiful. We think of something not just like a little storefront church or not just a little beat up church, but I'm talking about a beautiful stained glass pipe organ thing that's happening. And, just the idea that God could take me to that level from being an absolute sinner who wasn't worthy of being a temple at all to now this beautiful one. And, even as I've released that music or released the music, even more revelation has come. And just the idea that, cathedral has always been the seat of a bishop. And so now you start realizing that when you become a cathedral, not only are you a church, not only are you a big church, but you're actually a hub. You are where you are in a place where you actually impact other temples around you. And so all those type of things, just kind of feed into not just my initial writing process, but how it's also broadened and deepened over, the course of me performing it live, talking about it. It's always just an amazing experience. I always stay learning and stay researching and stay just amazed at the song that he gave.
Now, of course, our focus is your new record, because we want everyone to buy it. But I really am interested in that Tyrese and his wife moment. But before I ask that, you relived a moment in your journey where you were in a group. You weren't even the lead singer. Marley Music is ministering. He calls you out, gives you a prophetic word, which we see playing out now. Being able to work with him and being able to go back to that, what does that mean to you now what impact does it have on your head or your heart when you think about that part of your journey?
It's really incredible. It's really incredible that, you know, my life turned out, because even at that point, I wasn't really expecting my life to turn out in that way. I definitely had my own ideas of how life would turn out. And being a artist was not normally in that plan. And so even when he prayed for me, and I was singing in the group, and we had, you know, I don't know if I can remember it, but I mean, I'm sure that there was a lot more teaching involved, and I'm really excited that teaching is still a part of my life. A lot more teaching involved, because I think more than anything, I'm a teacher. I'm more than musician or artsy person or anything like that. I'm a nerdy teacher. And so I would absolutely be pretty fulfilled if that was the center of my life. You know, again, being a nerd who appreciated meteorology and other stuff, you know, it surprises all of my grammar school teachers, my elementary school teachers, that I'm even doing this. And so that was the original plan, I'm sure. And so, you know, having, you know, being in a group and having that cool kind of second focus in life was very fun. But when he, you know, called me out and prayed for me, I didn't hear what he said. The music was so loud, I didn't hear anything that he said. I just, you know, trusted him and received it. And, you know, lo and behold, you know, some of the things that he was praying for was just for me to be able and get an opportunity to be, you know, highlighted and to be brought out to the front. And those are things I just never would have expected. And so when I look back at those times, I always think back to just what we think is going to happen versus what actually happens. And that moment was definitely probably more monumental than I even knew.
So People comes out, hits the top of the charts. And by the way, if you ever look on Amazon and your track People, it's got People bracket explicit. And I said, man, did Jonathan ever know he was going to be in the same category as Uncle Snoop, explicit? But tell us about your journey to LA and Tyrese's home. It seemed such a beautiful moment, such a God moment. But it was a date night, and a gospel artist is there singing gospel songs, and I'm sitting there thinking, in 9 months' time, if there's a baby boy, this is Jonathan's fault.
Oh man, yeah. That no, I again have a place in LA, and where most of my clothes and everything are. And so I had been in Chicago for 2 months. You got to understand, I was expecting to, you know, be back in LA March 15th. You know, as we flew back and forth from Atlanta, doing Sunday Best, taping Sunday Best, or at least beginning the whole production process. So I expected to be back in 10 days. I expected to be back in LA in 10 days, but it turned out to be 2 months that I, you know, was away from all my stuff. So I just wanted to go back, and, you know, I had one bag of clothes that I'd been kind of circulating. I'm sure if you're a big fan and you've been watching all of my Instagram lives, you're seeing the same 4 or 5 t-shirts, but that's all I had, you know? And so I had to go back and grab some more stuff. And so I was just there. He was actually asking me to be on a Facebook, Instagram Live rather, and you know, just to work and do something for his wife, just to sing on, you know, on that for his wife, as he did whatever he would normally do with these Friday night date nights. But when I said, oh yeah, actually I'm just, you know, chilling in LA, he was like, are you sick? Are you serious? Are you kidding me? And so he had me come to the house and actually surprise her in the flesh. And that's what you guys see on live. If you go to my page or his page, you see me actually at their house, their estate, and you know, surprising his wife. And it was really cool. I think it was really amazing. First of all, it's always really cool to be amongst fans of the music. That always makes you feel good. But then also to be around, you know, somebody that you've looked to, and you know, Four Brothers is one of my favorite movies, and you know, I remember listening to him even growing up, and he's just an incredible talent, just a good dude too. It's just really cool to have these moments, knowing that when I was listening to his music, I never would have expected to meet him.
But Jonathan, how forgive the word, how crazy is it that an hour before you come as a surprise, as she's waiting, thinking, what's Tyrese, what's my husband doing? She's listening to your song, not knowing you were coming.
Right, that's all crazy. That's what I'm saying. That's really dope. And that's a real fan. That's somebody that really consumes the music. And again, you know, we work really hard on the music that we make. For 30 minutes worth of music, we probably spent 1,000 hours on it. And so to watch it actually connect to people, and you guys start pouring in those extra hours of listening, that makes it all worth it. That just means a lot. And so, of course, she's Tyrese's wife. Of course, she's beautiful, and she's, you know, they're living a whole different wealthy life, which is really cool to meet them and know them. But as far as just her being a fan of the music, I think it means just as much to me when anybody, you know, just really goes crazy about the music, and they can clearly say and truthfully say that it has a point and a place in there every day. That means a lot to me.
So finally, Jonathan, because I know you have lots to get on with, many people have said that this new record, just some kind of way, God worked it out. It seems to be a soundtrack for the moment we're in this lockdown. And you wouldn't have known that when you were making the record. But I did wonder for you, Jonathan McReynolds, what have been the best times and the worst times for you in this lockdown, and what songs have gotten you through?
I would say that the best times, you know, I get a chance to be innovative. I get a chance to be productive, hyper productive. I'm already a very productive person. I'm a busybody. I work way too hard normally for the moment. And so it's definitely been a interesting time, but a great time for me when it comes to that. I have some stuff that I'm working on. I have some music that I'm creating, and I'm really excited about it. It's been very fulfilling. This particular batch of music for this particular project that I'll announce in a few weeks is even has a special place in my heart and my career and my progression as a man and as a businessman and as a musician. So it's been really just an amazing experience. So I would say that is the best of times. The worst of times, you know, I think that, you know, first of all, in general, you know, sometimes us artists, sometimes us ministers of gospel, leaders, whatever, they feel the pressure of not just the moment, but just the entire life. You know, everything that we built, everything that we invested in, you know, the outside life, you know, now, you know, it's kind of cut off, at least for a while. You don't know when it'll come back and how it will materialize, how it'll normalize, what the new normal will be. And so I think it's just very important in those times that I, you know, trust God, I relax and rest. You know, I think for me, the biggest thing is just learning to rest physically, but also mentally, understanding that, you know, if God was able to provide a Molly to activate whatever was going on in me in that moment, you know, and he took special care of how he handled the first, 8-9 years of my career, then he can definitely do it again. And so I'm just really, excited about what's to come, even though I have no idea exactly what to be excited about.
And what song has gotten you through those moments where you've needed to quieten your heart, your mind, your inner self?
I mean, as far as my own songs or just any song?
Any song.
Oh, well, let me think. The first thing that pops up in my mind is William McDowell just put out a new record. He has a song on there with Nathaniel Bassey and Travis, which is called "Nothing Like Your Presence."
Yeah.
And that's a song that, you know, I don't consume a lot of worship music because sometimes musically it's, you know, a little monotonous. But you can't argue that just the beautiful spirit that is in a lot of worship music, including that song. It just really kind of gets me hyped, you know, and you know, kind of flips a sad day into something a little better. So I would say, just right off the top of my head, that's one song that I listen to often.
And which artist outside of America are you looking forward to working with? I mean, I could tell you here in the UK, we would love you to work with Called Out Music, but that aside, any artists outside of America, in Africa, South America, in Australasia, that you've seen and you think, I would love to work with that artist?
Oh man, that's tough, man. You put me on the spot. Called Out Music. That sounds familiar. I mean, he plays guitar, a little darker than me. Got a beard. That's Called Out Music.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I think I've seen people connect us and stuff on Twitter, and I checked him out, man. He is dope. He really is. And so that'd be pretty cool. You know, we got. You know, I don't know if he's viewed as somebody who now is pretty Americanized, because we love him. But Jonathan Butler is, you know, one of the greatest of all time. And so an opportunity to really work with him like that would be pretty dope. Man.
No, Jonathan, it's all right. You could stop right there, because once you met Jonathan Butler, us Africans claim him because he's African. Us British claim him because he's British. So I'm sorry, he's not American. He's just sojourning with you. So we'll stop right there with Jonathan Butler.
Yeah, no. I know he's not, but I just didn't know if, you know, if he counted in your thing, because he's so well traveled. He's such a legend. And I know there's a lot of incredible artists coming up. Yeah. So no, it's been pretty cool of a journey that I'm actually one of the few disappointments I have in my career is how rarely I've gotten to go to the UK and Africa. And so, and you know, I don't know who to blame that on. You know, maybe just, you know, for a different era, a different chapter of this.
No, we'll blame
I'm really excited, you know, at some point.
We'll blame it straight on the devil.
You said what?
We'll blame it straight on the devil. I mean, you're a
yeah,
coach,
man.
Man, so we must blame on the devil.
Well, I did it.
But I mean, it'll be great
one show.
It'll be great to get you back to the UK. We recently had Donny back in the UK for his 20th anniversary album, which was, I mean, 2 days sold out. It was incredible. So Jonathan McReynolds, I mean, personally, I've had at least in the last 9 months, I've had at least four organizations who've said, Jonathan, is Jonathan available? You know, but Jonathan, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us. All the best with the record. We will continue playing it here on Premiere, and certainly my family, my CBN family with Turning Point will continue to support it and pray for you as you pray for us. Jonathan, thank you so much.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you guys so much. I thank you for supporting the music you have for many years, and I appreciate it.
Okay, I'm going to stop.
Premier Gospel.